Hi folks, welcome back to Casey's Book Corner. I am Kirsten and today my book review is a psychological thriller by Lucinda called Phantom Limb. So pull up a chair, get comfy, get cozy, grab a little drinky and let's get started. So if you have watched any of my other videos or read any reviews on my blog, you will know that thrillers are kind of my comfort genre. I go to sleep listening to true crime podcasts. I'm always really interested in the slightly darker side of life. So I love a thriller, I love a fast pace, and I saw this book being spoken about on Instagram, added it to my list, and really enjoyed it. So I'll get started by telling you a little bit about the author. In Lucinda Berry's past life, before she was a full-time author, she was a clinical psychologist and did quite a lot of research into childhood trauma. So that knowledge and expertise and kind of behind the scenes understanding carries over into some of the main themes in her books. She's written 10 books. This is the first one I have read of hers, but it's unlikely to be the last. The blurbs of every single one of those books looks amazing, and now, once again, I have discovered an author that I now need to read the entire back catalogue of so that I don't feel like I'm missing out. I'm going to try my very best to describe the plot without giving anything away, so I am probably going to keep it quite brief and very much in line with the blurb. So, Emily and Elizabeth are twins, they're identical twins who went through a really quite horrendous childhood. Their mother was abusive and was struggling with her own demons around addiction. Their mum would also invite men into the home who were abusive in other ways to the girls. Fast forward into their adult life, and Elizabeth and Emily are dealing with their trauma in very, very different ways. Elizabeth seems to have things pretty much put together. She's at college, she's got a boyfriend, she's in love, all that happy stuff. Whereas Emily is still very much in the depths of her trauma. The story kind of really starts going when Elizabeth wakes up in what turns out to be a mental institution, following her discovery of her sister's body in the bathroom and her kind of trauma and desperation and grief associated with that. We then kind of follow her through her treatment in this mental facility. So that's really all I can kind of say in relation to the plot. There is a lot more to it, but I feel like it will be giving the game away, and I am not willing to do that. So if you want to know more about the story, read it. Read the book. Obviously, the themes within this book are dark. They are the dregs of humanity that are being spoken about. So go into that with that knowledge that while some of the things that are spoken about are inferred rather than being explicitly described, it's still pretty triggering if you know what I mean. So be careful, know what you're doing, know what you're getting into. So speaking about characters now, the majority of this book, all of this book in fact, is told from Elizabeth's point of view. So she is the most well-developed character, naturally. You're in her mind, you know what she is thinking, you know how she is feeling. She felt very real in the sense that her emotions were very raw when she is going through just this whirlwind of information and this, real roller coaster of feeling. You're brought on that journey as the reader too. So she was really well rounded and a really interesting character from start to finish. Emily, the twin sister who passes away, her trauma is clear. Her trauma is apparent in every interaction that Elizabeth has with her. It's really sad, and I really just wanted to wrap both of them up in my arms and give them big cuddles and help them see positives in the world. But obviously they're fictional, so I can't do that. But it's good that it makes you feel like that. It's really good when an author can make you feel that kind of level of empathy with a character who's really going through some stuff. The other characters I felt were a little on the two-dimensional side. I feel like they were maybe just a little bit too perfect. People are flawed. People get mad at each other. They say stupid things in the heat of the moment that they think is going to help but really doesn't actually help. And I feel like maybe this was intentional from the author in the sense that this is how Elizabeth is perceiving the people around her. Maybe she's sugarcoating those negative things like we as humans also do. But I felt like they could have had a little bit more realness or grittiness to them, something that's done really, really well with Elizabeth and Emily. There is one character in the book, Rachel, I think her name is, who is Elizabeth's kind of friend in the facility that she's in. She's going through her own struggles, hence why she is also present in the facility. But I quite liked their little blossoming friendship. I liked how they kind of bonded with one another, and I liked feeling like Elizabeth had a friend, someone on her side who was also flawed. I did like her. I wanted to see more of her, if anything, but as a character I actually think she was quite a nice little opposite to Elizabeth's state that she's in at the moment. It was well done and I liked it. Overall, I really enjoyed this book. I gave it 4 stars. I think that Lucinda does a really great job of utilising her own knowledge and understanding of psychology and trauma and weaves it quite intricately into the story. Yes, some elements of it are a little far-fetched and almost, I think, exaggerations in terms of extent, and timescales were obviously sped up quite considerably to make sure the book got finished in time. But I think you're allowed to do that, artistic license in terms of keeping up the drama. Overall, it was really, really good. Some parts were feeling quite predictable, but then other parts kind of threw a little bit of a spanner in the works, and I had my guard down thinking I had solved all of the mysteries, and there was another couple kind of thrown in there, which I did really like. I read a lot of thriller books, so it's always good when there's a little bit of an extra twisty twist that I haven't seen coming. My only kind of critique, and it's not even really a critique to be honest, I think the book could have been a little longer. It was only about 250, 260 pages, and I think that pushing that up to the kind of mid 300 page realm, that's about the number of pages I would normally read in a book, would have allowed just a little bit more depth into some of those other characters that were feeling a little 2D to me. Maybe even, I think it would have been really interesting to have had maybe a second perspective in there somewhere. I would have loved to have known what one or two of the people in Elizabeth's life were perceiving of the situations that were kind of cropping up. I think that would have been a really good take. So the book and the story itself were really great, but I wanted a little bit more of it. I wasn't ready to be done. And that is my only critique, and that's actually a really great critique to be having. So 4 stars overall. If you love a thriller, if you particularly like the psychological, kind of really into the nitty gritty dark side of the human psyche, then this is probably a decent book to be adding on to that list. And that's us done with another review. I really enjoyed that book, and like I say, I reckon if you love a thriller, it's a really good way to kind of utilise a spare afternoon. It was really enjoyable. Get it on the list. I'm going to be back in a couple of days' time with another review. Don't know what yet. Sorry, I really need to get better at organising my life. But I will be back in a couple of days' time. It's a mystery as to what on earth I'm going to be talking about. Give the video a little like. Give me a subscribe. I've got my blog in the comments as well, so go have a little look at what I've been reading recently. And yeah, I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. Happy reading. Cheerio.